Hi guys, so I'm here again with another inspirational guy that I've met on my travels. I met Keith Girling in a man's online discussion with a friend of mine called Pete Wilson, who runs a men's group. And Keith had some really interesting topics that he wanted to share. And I know he's got an interesting story that he wants to share with everybody. So I've invited him on today just to have a chat, and hopefully you'll find him inspiring. So over to you, Keith.
Right. Inspiring. Right. I better be careful what I say then, really. Name's Keith Girling, typical council house lad, really. Brought up in a tough area in Nottingham City. Comprehensive school education, did brilliantly, 7 CSEs type person. Joined the army, 18 years, left, and then since then I've been pretty much self-employed. I then got into politics. I'm a councillor, deputy leader of a district council. I'm on the county council as well. And I'm also chairman of a charity that looks after injured service personnel. And what got me into all this sort of thing, really, a couple of things. First one was, as my role as a councillor, county councillor, I was the Armed Forces Champion for Nottingham County Council, and I went on a mental health awareness first aid course. And I found that fascinating, really, because it was something I didn't really know much about. And I'd just lost a mate, actually, who lived about 1.5 miles from me, and he committed suicide. And it devastated me because I never recognised that he was, even at the brink of committing suicide. He was one of these guys that I loved when I was in the army, because we used to play cards, and every time he got a decent hand, you could tell he was absolutely crap at cards because he couldn't contain the fact he had a decent hand. And yet he managed to hide the fact from me that he was considering taking his life.
Wow.
And to be fair, it knocked me for 6. It absolutely, like somebody kicked me in the bollocks, basically. Anyway, I went on this course, and I wish I'd done this course beforehand, because it then brought forward things, signs, if you like, signals that actually, if I'd have done the course, I'd have picked up on, or may have picked up on, and may have been able to do something about it. I may not have, but I may have. And so that was one element of my life that changed quite dramatically, because until I went through my second divorce, I thought stress was something a pansy put on so that they didn't have to go to work. And yet I ended up sacking my solicitor because basically she was crap. And I did it all myself. And I really felt then, realised what stress really was. Because I never felt it in the army. And I've been in combat situations, I've been in all sorts of situations, but never felt that I was ever under any stress with it. It was just a life I loved. I enjoyed everything about it. So that was another thing that came into my life. So stress, actually, is there something called stress? And then this. And then I went into a really, really deep depression, where I then started to think about my life, really, and why I'm here. I'm just a pain, no need for me to be here, really. I was on my own. Nobody noticed if I got rid of my life. And it was my dogs that saved my life.
Wow.
And I just sort of sorry, the screen's just gone. I've got to just log in. Yeah, sorry about that. My screen went blank.
That's okay. No problem.
Yeah, and so where was I? Yeah, and I managed to pull myself out of it. I didn't go for any help. I just managed to get myself out of it. And a very, very good friend of mine who I love dearly, she said, "Why don't you come and work for me?" She owned a wine shop and a bit of a restaurant in it, like a bistro type thing. But it was a wine shop, effectively. And I said, "Oh, I'd love to." And basically, I became a wine waiter. So I was going from a really good income. I was on about 98 grand a year to nothing, because I packed everything in. I was saying nothing, I was on my army pension, to then working as a wine waiter. And it was great, because I was having to interact with people. I was having to say, what can I get you? And I was having to smile and all that. And it really did me a lot of good. And it just built my confidence up. and made me realise actually I've got a purpose. I became quite good with wine, to be fair. She sent me on a couple of courses where I passed them, and I'm now qualified in wine to level 2. So it just sort of gave myself a purpose then, and I kept going from that. And then I had this, I was single, so I was on Plenty of Fish, and it was quite a decent site for me because I didn't really want a relationship. And there's lots of women on there that didn't want a relationship, and we got on really well generally. And I saw this woman on there that she posted, really attractive, and she said she was coming over from Australia and wanted to meet up with people. She said she was open-minded, which is always a good signal when you're single and on that kind of site. And anyway, I messaged her. I said, well, why don't you come and stay with me for a few days? And she did. And she was lovely. She was a really, really lovely woman. She was actually from the UK, from Coventry, but she'd moved over to Australia, and she's coming over just doing a tour around the UK again. Anyway, she was into something called quantum healing hypnotherapy. I hadn't heard of it before. You know, I was still of the opinion all this spiritual stuff was for tree-hugging, sandal and socks-wearing people. And, you know, I'm very much of a person that if it bleeds, you can kill it. If it doesn't bleed, it's not real, or it's inanimate object. So anyway, I got on really well with them. I was up talking to them about 3 o'clock in the morning, all about these different subjects. And it started challenging my belief system. And she said, well, why don't you ever go? She said, you know, I'll have a go with you if you like. And I said, well, okay, then I'm open-minded. I'll give it a go. And she said, well, what I need you to do is write down about 30 questions. It's about 30 questions. And then what we do, when I hypnotise you, I'll take you through those 30 questions and you'll get some answers. And I said, well, what do you mean, what kind of questions? You know, what's my favourite colour? So I'm testing it. So no, questions you want to know, answers that you want about your life, you know, your purpose in your life, anything. And I went sort of, okay then. And then when I went to bed and I was just thinking, I don't know, 30 questions. And about 3:30 in the morning, I just had these questions start going through my head. All these questions. And normally I just tried to go back to sleep. And I thought, oh, hang on a minute. So I got up, made myself a cup of coffee and started writing them down. Yeah, and I was just writing just question after question after question after question. Anyway, and all of a sudden, no questions, and I counted them up, 32 questions. Amazing. Anyway, I got up next morning, told her I got the questions, and that afternoon, we went into a session. And she hypnotised me. She took me down this journey, and I went through every emotion possible. And I mean every emotion. I cried my eyes out, and I don't mean just tears, I was blubbering. I was laughing my head off. I felt horny. I was scared shitless. There's all these things that happened to me through this journey of getting to where she needed me to be before she then started asking me these questions. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever been hypnotised before. I've been hypnotised once before. You sort of know what's happening, but you don't really know what you're saying or doing. And that's how it was. Anyway, she said, right, I'm going to take you down into a deeper state now so I can ask you these questions. So she took me down into this deeper state and started asking me questions. And I got angry. I said, who do you think you are asking me these questions? You know, you can't ask me things like that. Anyway, she realised and took me out of the hypnosis and then fine. She said, you're not ready yet, Keith. Anyway, she spent another couple of days with me and then off she went on a journey. About 10 days later, she contacted me again and said, oh, I'm back in the area because I'm going to a funeral near you. Will you come with me? Because I know you like singing and there won't be many people there because it's a really old person and not many surviving friends or anything and family. And it'd be really nice if you came. So I went with her. Anyway, she stayed that again for a couple of nights, actually. And then the next morning, she said, shall I have another go? And I said, okay then. Anyway, we went into it and it got down to the questions. And I answered all the questions. It was amazing, and I've recorded it as well.
Great.
And this was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And I thought, right, I'm going to listen to that recording because I feel now I'm capable of listening to it. But I've had a new phone since then. It's got lost. So I'm really fed up with it. But she wrote all the answers down next to my questions, so it answered lots of questions. There was my first ex-wife fell pregnant at the time I was falling, as we were getting the divorce type thing. And then 16 years later, she said he was mine. And I wanted to know if he was, because I asked for a DNA test, but because he was 16, you had to ask him, and he didn't want to know. So
Right.
you can't force him. And so that question was answered for me, and I believe it, you know. And so there's all sorts of things like that
Right.
that came up, and it just opened my mind to possibilities rather than it being closed and no, that's all mumbo jumbo. It's not real. It's irrelevant. I'm a bloke, you know, council house lad, 18 years in the army, can't cry, can't have emotion, you know, can't whatever. It's all bollocks, really. But that's what you're indoctrinated with, you know. You just can't, especially some areas. You know, especially some areas. If you came up and said you had feelings as a bloke, you'd either get your head kicked in, or they'd like never ever speak to you again.
Sure.
You know, and that's a weakness on them, really, not you. And so now I talk about things. So I talk about my mental health issues. I would never have dreamt of doing this a few years ago. You know, if you said, "Would you come on and talk about this sort of thing?" I'd have said, no, absolutely not. But it's about what it has done for me. It's put my confidence up, and it's allowed me to let go of a lot of stuff that's been holding me back as well.
Great.
And it's also allowed me to realise and look at what I've done in the past that's been good. Yeah, because you go through life and you never really know what people think about you. You know, you assume a lot of what they might think about you. And some of the comments I've had off people have been absolutely incredible and amazing on their view of what I was like. So Pete Wilson, for example, you know, when I first met Pete Wilson, I think I was a colour sergeant. So you know, he had been a guardsman. It's you know, there's that gap, and so he'd have seen me up there and me him as a guardsman type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But his view of me was quite surprising to me, because I thought everybody didn't like me because I was always horrible to them and I was always mean and made them do things that they didn't want to do, type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So you never know what people think about you, and I've stopped worrying about it and I've stopped thinking about it because it doesn't matter.
Great.
You know?
Yeah.
You know. So if anybody reads this and thinks, "Oh, he's a bit of a twat," well, thank you very much. You know, you've assessed me in a lot quicker time than most people have. So, and you're probably right.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's your view of me. That's not my view of me, and it's about having the confidence to do that.
That's right. Yeah. I'm glad you've mentioned that, Keith, because the thing for me is, on this personal development journey, you know, I've been holding back for such a long time, really, really afraid of putting myself out there in case you get slated by people or you're worried about what certain people think about you. And then I've come to realize, you know, everything that I've been doing and everything that I've been learning is all about developing myself so I can be the best version of myself. And then so I can share that best version with other people so they get the best of me. And anybody that wants to judge me outside of that, well, you know, they can bugger off and judge somebody else, because, you know, there's plenty of targets out there. And I think once you start doing this work and you start moving your life forward for the right purpose, then you'll only attract the people that really want to support that. And they're the only people that really matter in your world, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the law of attraction is another thing I've learned about over the last sort of 2 or 3 years. Because what's happened also is I met a woman that I now live with, and you know, she's well into the law of attraction and this side of life, and we met. The way, if I told you the circumstance which we met, it was absolutely destiny that we was meant to meet. You know.
Wonderful.
And that's what it's all about. You do attract what you are. So if you're a negative person, you will attract negative things and negative people around you, because they're drawn to you. If you're a positive person, you'll get on the nerves of people that are negative. They won't like you. Why would they like you? You're challenging their view on life. You know, no, it's gonna rain. No, you know, I've only got. Oh no, you know, look what they've got and I haven't got. That's what you'll be like, and that's what you'll attract. If you're a positive person, you attract that. abundance. I've just done a 21-day abundance, a 21-day abundance meditation thing, and it's true. I used to, be on a lot of money. I was on about 98 grand a year as a single bloke, so a lot of disposable income basically. And this was before I had my depression, where then I had just been on my pension effectively, and I was still negative. Yeah, I didn't have enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't right, and that's probably why I went. As part of why I went into my depression, because I wasn't satisfying my soul. I was just satisfying my ego.
Yeah.
And I've got a big ego, and it takes a lot of satisfying. Whereas my soul is pure, and it's truth to me.
Yeah.
And therefore I don't have to spend so much time trying to persuade my soul of anything, because my soul knows everything.
Yeah.
It knows me better than anything or anybody or me, because that mind gets in the way, and it's about learning that. And I've become a lot calmer. I was very angry person, quite aggressive person. If people disagreed with me or stood up to me, I'd stand up back to them and more some. Whereas now I just take it. Well, okay, what gift is that person giving me?
Great.
They are saying something, or what they're doing to me. Why? So I look at why rather than what.
Yeah.
And it makes a massive difference to how you approach things. I think
Absolutely.
looking at the why rather than what they're saying, why they're saying it.
Yeah.
And often, if you really look at it, it's actually a mirror of them. They're looking at themselves, and so they're reflecting what they see in themselves that they don't like. So that's why they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually got nothing to do with you at all.
Sure.
You're just a vessel for them to have a go at.
Yeah.
And if you look at things like that, it makes life a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And it makes life a lot easier to work your way through. And I'm at the beginning of this journey. I've joined this group with Pete Wilson on that you referred to in your introduction. I've been listening to that group or watching this conversation on Facebook for a couple of years, and I knew him, so he's Grenadier. When I got a friend request from him, it's because he's a Grenadier. I accepted, and I just listened. I just thought he was a fruit bat that liked hugging trees type of thing, but a nice guy. And he is a really nice guy. So why wouldn't you be friends with him?
Yeah.
But because of my journey, I've started thinking actually there's something in what he's saying, and so it's made me explore it. It's made me look into it, and it's about being it's about being open-minded, and that's the message I give out. Don't close yourself in, because all you'll do closing yourself in, you don't get rid of anything. You don't get rid of your baggage. Open your mind, and actually you'll feel a lot better with yourself.
Great. That's a really, really good message, Keith. Yeah, thanks. And I just wanted to let everybody know that's listening, Keith is part of the group that's supporting guys on our workout space. So I've got about 10 really influential coaches or interesting guys that have got a lot of experience with emotional, mental health, some really interesting stories that you might be able to relate to. So don't be shy in joining the group, asking any questions. Those guys are there 24/7 to give you some support and welcome you into our sort of group of network of men, really. So thanks ever so much, Keith. Really great to chat with you. And I'm calling you Pete because I've got Pete on the next call next.
Yeah.
So great to speak to you.
I love you. Okay, I'll give him my regards.
Yeah, I look forward to catching you on Pete's next call. Cheers.
Okay, take care. Bye.